Imagine this: you wake up in the morning with a firm decision: today will be different. Today, you will be productive, go to the gym, eat only healthy food, and not waste time. A few hours go by, you slip up, procrastinate on important tasks, feel guilty, and once again blame yourself. Here we go again. I just have no willpower. I'm weak. But what if I told you that you are not weak? What if you're simply trying to solve the wrong problem? What if this entire idea of willpower as the superpower of successful people is one of the most persistent and harmful myths? A myth that makes millions of people blame themselves for years, instead of understanding how their brain and motivation actually work. Today, we will get to the bottom of this once and for all. We'll look at neuroscience and psychology to learn the awkward truth about your motivation. And this knowledge won't just be interesting, it will be liberating. Because it will lift the burden of guilt off your shoulders and give you real, working tools for change. So, why is willpower a myth, and what actually works? Part 1: Willpower is an inexhaustible resource. Let's start by debunking the main character. In our imagination, willpower is like a muscle: the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. But modern science sees it differently. A more accurate metaphor is not a muscle, but a battery. Imagine you wake up every morning with your willpower battery fully charged. Then you force yourself not to check social media at breakfast, -5% charge. You hold back irritation in a traffic jam on the way to work, -10%. You force yourself to start a complex report instead of scrolling through your feed, -30%. By lunchtime, your battery is almost dead. And when you look at a bag of chips or a missed workout in the evening, your brain simply doesn't have the mental energy left to say no. This is called ego depletion. Numerous experiments, like the famous ones with chocolate cookies and radishes, confirm our capacity for self-control is finite. It's spent on every small decision and every resistance to temptation throughout the day. And here's the main catch: our culture promotes the just do it strategy, which is a strategy of constantly straining this very battery. But relying on willpower is like trying to drive to another city in a car with an almost empty tank. You can push it yourself for a while, but it's incredibly difficult, painful, and you won't get far that way. It's a failing strategy by design. Part 2: The key to success is a system, not a goal. If willpower is unreliable, what should we rely on? The answer is a system. Let's understand the difference between a goal and a system. A goal is the result you want to achieve. Lose 10 kilograms, learn English, write a book. A system is the chain of regular, small actions you take to get to that result. The problem with goals is that they create a constant state of not yet. I'll start eating healthy on Monday. Once I finish this project, then I'll start exercising. This requires a huge effort of will, one big leap. And what happens when you achieve the goal? You stop. You went on a diet, lost 10 kilograms, and then returned to your old habits and gained the weight back. A system works differently. Instead of the goal, lose 10 kilograms, your system is cook a healthy dinner every Tuesday and Thursday and walk for 30 minutes after work. Instead of the goal, learn English, the system is practice for 15 minutes in an app during breakfast. A system shifts the focus from a distant, scary future to a small, simple action you can take right now. It doesn't require heroic willpower. It only requires consistency. You're no longer running a marathon on a single breath. You're just taking a few small steps every day. And these steps ultimately take you much further than any exhausting sprints. Part 3: The Diderot Effect, the chain reaction of habits. But how do you start such a system? This is where a fascinating psychological phenomenon comes into play: the Diderot effect. The French philosopher Denis Diderot noticed that after buying a new beautiful robe, he soon began to change everything around him: furniture, carpets, art objects. One new item triggered a whole chain of changes. The same works with habits. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. You need to find just one keystone habit, a small but regular action that will start a chain reaction. A classic example is morning exercise. You start with 5 to 10 minutes of simple exercises. It seems insignificant. But having done it, you already feel like a person who takes care of their health. And now you don't feel like having a donut for breakfast, you choose something healthier. Then, feeling energized, you decide to walk one bus stop. In the evening, remembering your morning victory, it's easier to refuse an extra hour of TV shows and go to bed on time. One small, cheap habit in terms of willpower expenditure becomes the cornerstone of your new identity. You are no longer a person without willpower who's trying to force themselves. you are a person who exercises. And this identity begins to dictate new, healthier choices to you, almost effortlessly. Part 4: How to Trick Your Brain, the 2-minute rule and changing your environment. And the final, but most practical question: how do we trick our own brain, which loves comfort and saving energy so much? There are 2 powerful tools. The first is the 2-minute rule. It states, when you start a new habit, it should take no more than 2 minutes. You want to start running? Your task for the first few weeks is not to run 5 kilometers. Your task is simply to put on your running shoes and go outside. That's it. Want to read more? Not read 1 chapter, but open the book to 1 page. Want to learn to play the guitar? Take it out of the case and hold it for 2 minutes. The whole trick is to overcome the initial resistance. The brain is afraid of big tasks. But putting on running shoes isn't hard. And once you've put on your shoes and gone outside, there's a good chance you'll actually go for a short run. This rule lowers the barrier to entry to a ridiculously low level, requiring almost no willpower. You trick your brain, and it engages in the process on its own. The second tool, even more powerful, is changing your environment, not fighting yourself. Remember our willpower battery? Why waste its charge on resisting eating cookies every time, if you can just not buy them and not keep them in the house? Want to spend less time on your phone? Don't rely on willpower to not pick it up. Just put it in another room while you work. Want to exercise more? Lay out your workout clothes in a visible place. You're not changing yourself, you're changing the context. You create an environment that makes the right actions easy and the wrong ones difficult. This is the most elegant and effective way to save your mental energy for truly important decisions. So, let's put it all together. We've lived our whole lives in a paradigm where we blamed ourselves for a lack of willpower. But today we learned that it's not our fault. Willpower is an inexhaustible resource, and building long-term change on it is like building a house on sand. Real, sustainable change comes when we abandon the tyranny of goals and move to the elegance of systems. When we find one small habit that, like Diderot's stone, triggers a chain reaction of positive changes. And when we stop fighting ourselves and start intelligently arranging our environment, tricking our lazy but beloved brain with the 2-minute rule. This is liberating knowledge. It lifts the burden of years of self-flagellation off you. You are not lazy or weak-willed. You were just using the wrong tool. Now you have the keys to working with your psyche. You can stop fighting yourself and start cooperating with your brain. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, I don't have enough willpower, stop. And ask yourself, what system can I create? What small habit can I implement? How can I change my environment to make the desired behavior easy? Because willpower is a myth. And your ability for smart, thoughtful change is the most real power there is. Thank you for watching this video. Use this knowledge in practice, and you will be amazed at how much everything can change.